It's Angie. I want to talk to you today about contract negotiation and why it's hard sometimes, especially if what you're negotiating is a client dispute or a difficulty. Things have gotten a little crossways, and you're looking back at the contract and you're thinking about what's the best way to resolve this, right? And so, one of the things I want you to think about before you get into that conversation is, what is my stress response? And how is that affecting how I'm approaching this conversation? For instance, the traditional stress responses people think about are fight, flight, freeze, and flirt. Some people say fawn. So we're going to think about which of those categories is your default and which one are you in when you think about having that conversation, if you are in one of those states. If you are in a fight state, when you go to have a conversation with someone about a potential dispute or something you need to work out, you're going to approach it in either a very adversarial or a very defensive posture, which is not really the energy for a resolution. So in martial arts, they say every attack is a block and every block is an attack, right? So if you're either in a very fight, aggressive kind of stance or a defensive kind of stance, you're not going to be able to step into the common ground, right? If you're in a flight mode, you may find yourself avoiding the conversation or being in the conversation and not really saying what you want because you're fleeing internally. You are fleeing the conversation. So knowing that that's a possibility for you, having a strategy to lay out what you want to say, maybe even practicing a little bit, staying in the energy of feeling grounded and empowered. That's one place where having a good contract in place is going to help you, because if you know your contract backs you up, you can approach that conversation from a grounded, empowered place, even if you really want to run away and not deal with it, right? If you're also tempted to freeze up, this is another way to use your contract that you understand and that supports your business goals, right? A good contract that supports your goals. Understanding that you have those levers in your contract to use to get paid for the value you provide, to protect your business, to protect yourself and your reputation, right? If you've got those mechanisms in your contract, it helps you get out of that freeze mode, right? And being able to have that contract structure to have the conversation will help you melt that freeze state, right? And then the same if you tend to be a fawn or flirt stress response, right? You may want to be really conciliatory, maybe give a little too much, maybe say things that sound like you're taking on the blame for things that you didn't do. So knowing that that's a temptation for you in that flirt state is going to help you approach the conversation with empowered language and sticking up for yourself and making appropriate requests and declining things that are too much for you, right? Being able to appropriately set a boundary when someone asks for something crazy, unreasonable refund request, extra time. They want you to, work for free when you had very clear statement of work that said what you were going to do for that price, right? That's going to help you set those boundaries. Which stress state do you think you were in the last time you had a difficult conversation with a client? Comment below. Tell us what you did. Share so other people can learn from your experience. And what are your best tips for getting in that empowered, grounded, heart-centered space before you start the conversation? We want to know.